So at Fukushima, they have live cameras you can go look at. Good old TEPCO supplies this, but there's nothing today, so who knows what happened. Won't come through. So here's an old one I have. Anyway, it just shows this picture and another picture from another side that shows how they've built coffins over all these terrorist units. So did something happen? I don't know. But here's all to show you how safe everything is, and everything's fine. Don't worry. That's what this whole camera setup is for, which is not working today for some reason, which I find interesting. But if you go to this Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center, you can go look at any of these spots, which is not worldwide, but it's some of it. So you go in and look at your town. I'm here in Portland. So Portland is 192 average. So if it's over 100, you don't want to live there. So, but I live here, so what choice do I have? About the same as everybody else where they live. And then we go over to Japan, and they have a lot of counters working. Low, 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 they say. If you zoom in here, you can get the Fukushima Daiichi and Fukushima Daina plant. So this plant supposedly never had any problems. That's what we were told, right? No problems. 310, 192, 312. Anyway, that's pretty high if you ask me. So let's go up to Daiichi, which is only like 50 miles away. So what was the difference in the tidal wave or the tsunami between here and here? Not much. So let's look at some of these. 8,000 was the high. Average 800 about. 1493, average 844. Thousand. So 8,800 for a high in this 24-hour period. So if you think they've cleaned this plant up, it's still emitting radiation as it was 7 years ago. So it's just continually polluting the Pacific and all the air in the world. And if you were to go in closer from that one that reads 8,000, here are the melted plants, the melted terrorist buildings. Here's one. Anyway, they show this one's not covered yet, so it's an old picture. But if you get in that close, it's probably up to, I don't know, 60,000 counts. I don't know. But that's why all these workers die after they work there. They need a couple counters right here so we can really see what the counts are, but they don't want us to know that. I'm amazed they show us the 8,000 numbers. So this is a couple days later on November 3rd, and this is at 8,800 still. Maybe that's the highest it goes, and maybe that's the highest it can read. But if they were to put these detectors next to these terrorist plants that melted down, they'd probably be at, I don't know, 60,000. Here's number 4, 3, 2, 1. And if they were to put them inside the buildings, then who knows where they would be, much higher. People can't even get in too yet. And then if they were to put it down below the buildings where everything's melted, then what would it be? 60,000, 90,000, 200,000 counts per minute? I don't know. But that material underneath these buildings is going to be there for a century, giving off radiation. So long after the humans are gone. So this is and then they have all this water tanks over here that they say they're saving all this water, but they just dump it out once a year. They just dump all these tanks out once a year, then they start refilling them, and then they say the radiation's lower, and they're just, oh, it's a big lie factory. just to keep everybody happy. But that doesn't mean everybody's happy. And Beautiful Girl by Dana, or the nuclear proctologist, has been talking about this, and this is mostly where I learned stuff I know from. And I'm just going to listen to him for a couple minutes. And he is on every night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and he does surveys of the west coast of the Pacific in Canada and sees what life forms are disappearing, and he always needs an extra dollar or two. So if you have 10, 20 bucks, go give it to this gentleman.
Nuclear power plant that was
Do it again.
We are here inside reactor 4 at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power.
So they claim that they're on top of the building to your left. It's not just her. It's a lot of them. And they tell you now they're worried about iodine, which has an 8-day half-life, and cesium. They don't mention curium, which is the biggest byproduct, and the reason why they're wearing tungsten vests, well, the homeless, that is, homeless. Now, we'll get to that coming up in a bit. Concerns rising at Fukushima plant, 16,000 workers have quit. Severe working conditions. And as for the contents of 1,000 radioactive storage tanks, look at the date, it's 2013. And so unless they never filled up another tank, because right now they only claim they got 900 folks. And don't be surprised, because they claim they're in the building to the left, that they're lying about the tanks. There's your buildings. And the boiling water reactor has a reactor cores that are used. Extremely lethal doses are stored at the top in deep pools. Not too deep, mind you. And certainly those pools and the reactor cores are gone, but they're not willing to admit this. They claim it looks like the interior is to your left. This is a fable. And an interesting story on this, I thought, was water could get sucked out of the spent fuel pools by tornadoes. So that could happen in America, in China, in Russia, too. Yeah? And this is an official picture a few days ago, so they're continuing the lie. Look at the building to your right. Now, while you might not think that what's the big deal, they're faking a building, I can assure you, you'll spend the rest of your life trying to understand this. That's a fact. This is why they're going to so much work to hide it. This is before the
So you got to ask yourself, why don't you want these terrorist plants running? And well, the answer is because they're all going to melt down eventually or release radioactive material, and it's killing off the ocean. And this is from 2015, but I can't find much newer. And it talks about the seal pups dying, and they're washing up on shore, or they come up on shore and they die. And the reason they come up on shore is because the ocean's too cold for them and they can't find anything to eat, so they come up on the shore to get the sun because it's warmer, but then they croak because there's no food there either. And this one is very odd. It says, pat yourself on the back, humankind, and then it says, have been washing up, all these babies have been washing up dead, and then it says, thank God. So what, I don't understand that at all. But and that's what's happening. The baby seals are much less resilient than the adults. So in the next shot, when I was down at the Oregon coast, I did see a lot of seals, but I don't see any babies in there, no little teeny ones anywhere.
So I do think the ocean's in trouble, but at least there's lots of seals down here at the Oregon coast. Otter Rock. Goes an American bald eagle. Top one. With the crow harassing him. Oh no, that was two bald eagles. Cormorants down there. Haven't seen any whales.